Hello, good evening. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Got a very special guest who's going to be joining us on the stream this week. First of all, guys, right before we get stuck into it, number one, I've not looked at SoRare data since yesterday. I was sitting with 3 card rewards and the 0.02. And obviously, there's been some games played tonight. I thought I'm just not even going to look at it. I'm not going to torture myself. I'm just going to keep myself away from it. And I will go and check it when I'm able to. Sorry, guys. The kid wants to come in. See, because I've got all these toys in here, it's like a magnet for my boy. He just wants to come in and start getting stuff off the shelf and everything as well. So apologies, but here we go. So yeah, Fox in the Box himself will be joining us. We'll be going through the last game week's results. We're looking ahead to this game week coming. We've got some updates on the J League stuff that we had go out on Twitter today. And yeah, just the good, the great, the wonderful, and everything else in between. So first of all, Fox in the Box, thanks a lot for joining us, pal.
Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Absolute pleasure. You know, the streams, like sometimes I don't mean just kind of rattling through them just myself or whatever, but it is always nice to get a guest on where we can actually chat a bit of football, have a bit of back and forth and all that as well. And an absolute amazing guest. Thanks a lot for joining us, mates. I know you delve right deep in with football. We were just kind of chatting before coming on live, and I think your perspective, the level of detail you bring to your scouting is something that a lot of people will identify with. And yeah, I think we'll have it.
FM Wonder Kids.
I said the FM Wonder Kids fraternity.
FM's my world, yeah. The first player I looked for was Ace of Ranks, so that says it all.
Definitely, man. So this game week, did you have much out?
I did. It all kind of flopped, to be honest, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a great 5 mixed in 3 different teams, but yeah, one of those game weeks for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. When you get to that stage, like, and I think this was a message too. We probably exchanged it ourselves, but I was saying on the stream recently, like, I definitely have the cards to win every week. It's just not in question. It's just nailing those combos and getting that little bit of luck. I've just opened my SoRare data page. I'm not getting any card rewards now from the looks of it. I've been pipped at the post on 3 divisions, which is painful. But still going to get my ETH, which is fine. Who let me down? Renato Sanchez coming off the bench was sore. This All-Star D4 actually did really quite well. That's not a bad score, 303, but it is All-Star D4, the most crowded of the divisions, and 303 is just not going to bag you anything from the looks of it. That's actually a good little team. I'm quite happy with that, but yeah, just the wrong division. But they got me my ETH, which is cool.
I got done on a few players where they've been regularly playing 90 for like 6-7 weeks in a row. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they go in the same team and get dropped. I was like, no, not this week.
It's such sod's law, isn't it? I had my dependable super rare I thought would play out every week actually get rested this match, so that was a kick in the teeth. That team did quite mediocre anyway, so nothing really lost. And this team, 2 DNPs, there was not much in that anyway. This team got quite exciting until Snod. You know, Sané started off, he bagged 91 points. I watched most of the match, it was amazing. And then Snodgrass I didn't realise, or no one caught me in the stream, but he was out injured, not even in the matchday squad. Mancini goes out, busts out a 74. Chris Richards goes out, busts out a 63. Paul Lopez clean sheet, bags an 84. 321 points, 75th in Champion D4. That's a sore one. I could have won that with a decent card. You know, even something else to talk about in our division. But I got Guimaraes and Kamada. Any one of them could have went in there, and that would have been a brilliant week over there. And then what else did I have? I had an under 23 D3, which just didn't get off the ground, didn't do anything amazing, a lot of average scores. And like I said before, especially with these 2 guys, my poster children, you know, Nemeka and Nunez, if they're having their bad scores and their average scores together, that's fine, as long as they have their good scores together. Because if they both get good scores in the same game week, there's no chance in hell I'm walking away with nothing, you know, because that would be massive. And then the last division I had here was under 23 D4. Crepin Diatta DNP was a kick in the teeth, and no one else really done anything spectacular. Good to see Mark McKenzie playing again. I think they played a 5 at the back or something like that, because Lucini's back from injury, and also Munoz and their regulars, Cuesta and whatever, kicking about. So good to see that. And it's good as well getting this amount of entries back. I was really pleased about that. Yourself, Fox in the Box, we were talking earlier, like, how many entries are you managing to get out with your gallery at the moment?
I think I can hear you in 2 places. I'm trying to work out why.
If you've got the stream open on your end, that should be it.
Why is it doing that?
Maybe not. It's a wee bit echoey. So last game week I managed to pull 7 out. So if I can keep that kind of level up, because we're 1 game week from the J Leagues returning and coming back by a bang, so that will really increase again the amount of squads everyone's capable of putting out. Yeah, there'll be more divisions available as the actual J League region itself. So this, guys, is the calm before the storm. We've got Champions League, we've got Europa League, we've got some domestic fixtures, and then as soon as the deadline kicks in for this, and we get a wee sneak peek into the next game week, you're going to see all those J League fixtures popping up and all those cards that are flying away at auction now. So people are buying them for, is to get them into teams and get them used right away. So exciting stuff for the week ahead. Mainly Europa League and Champions League fixtures. Fox, is there one that works for you? I don't know why I said works for you. I think it's because this little camera changed over to me. So I'm just going to slide this over here. I think he's maybe dived out to come back in. So when I had a quick scan through this, guys, whenever I'm looking at this, I always kind of look at the Championship much too longer than I should, so I'm just going to skip by that. Champions League, we've got 4 fixtures. We don't have like the PSG Barca level fixture. I think you can say quite easy. Bayern and Lazio, I suppose, when I look at the badges side by side, I do get sentimental because I'm a kind of a Lazio fan of old. Back in my childhood, back on the whole Italian football on Channel 4 and all the rest of it. Atalanta at home at Real Madrid is potentially the banana skin tie of probably the game week.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
There was 2 places playing and I couldn't work out from where, so I just closed everything down.
No, cool.
It went wherever it was.
That's sweet, man. So Chelsea and Atletico Madrid. What's your thoughts on that game, Fox?
Which one's that one, sorry?
Atletico Madrid and Chelsea.
Do you know what? Speaking of Atletico, I need to look at their transfers because they seem to have a lot of weird cards popping up on there. I didn't realise Dembele had gone there and so on. Yeah,
well, that was a wee last minute loan because they released Diego Costa from his contract. It looks like he'll be signing for a Brazilian team soon, no doubt. But because of that, it did leave them a bit short for a backup forward. And I think, it's a try before you buy kind of situation. They'll get him in.
The one division that I don't spend any time looking at is the Spanish division. I don't really have any interest in it. I find, controversial opinion maybe, I find the football quite boring out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm more of a French league, Dutch league, Belgian league kind of person. Get me in Scandinavia, where it's a bit more hazard and crazy.
That's where the action's at.
I just don't know. I'm not really into Spanish football. I mean, what they've done recently. So they lost to Levante recently. But they've been on quite the run, haven't they? Chelsea, I don't know, new management. Is it going to be Tuchel's first European game?
Yeah, it'll be Tuchel's first game in Europe for Chelsea. 100%, definitely.
These are just hard to beat, though, right?
Yeah.
Madrid are just a hard team to beat.
And it's in Hungary or something like that as well, but it's a neutral venue.
Yeah, it's a coronavirus stuff.
Yes, which is an odd one because at the Wanda Metropolitano, whatever you call it, even without fans, I would back them to put the fear into Chelsea and keep a clean sheet. But it is kind of an away game for both, so it's a wee bit weird. And as you said, Atletico Madrid's form now is a bit sketchy. 2 games with Levante. I think the first one was a draw, or they didn't get a clean sheet anyway, and they lost the second game, which I think was at the weekend.
Well, they're not. Put this all right. Looking at their results here, they're not scoring a lot. They've got 3 and a 4, but they've also got 2. They're conceding a few as well.
Yeah.
They haven't had a clean sheet for what?
Too long since Trippier got banned for gambling.
6 weeks or so. Yeah, literally since about 6 weeks, they haven't had a clean sheet, and they didn't even register a goal against Levante.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's Chelsea's form been since Tuchel came in, by the way?
I think it's been kind of improving. I listened to the radio a lot when I'm kind of driving about, and I think the kind of main thing is like the media pure love Tuchel because he's just talking to them straight and all that. But I think a few of the results have been quite good. I must admit, like yourself, with the Spanish league, I've not really followed the Prem too much this year just because I've been so involved in other divisions. Because I spent all the summer on Footstock and got right up with the Prem in terms of who's good for points and all that kind of thing. But since coming onto this, I've had to draw my attention elsewhere, and I've kind of sometimes I miss some fixtures. I watched what games did I watch at the weekend? Did I watch Man City? What did I watch? I watched a few games. I watched Leipzig. I watched Bayern. It's 2 German games. What else did I watch? Did you watch much of the weekend?
I watched Liège and Montpellier, but I watched Montpellier for Doku. But I wanted to. I'd heard things like this. What's his bloody name? Mavidi. I can't say it now.
Mavidi or something like that. Yeah. I know the guy.
Yeah. He was really, really, really good. Oh, I've only seen Doku a few times. I've not seen Doku play for Rennes just yet. And also, I wanted to see Camavinga as well, but Camavinga didn't play until like late on.
Camavinga's the boss.
Yeah, it was a good game to catch. It was literally like 75% possession to Rennes, but they never created any chances off the back of it.
Wow.
And it was whenever Montpellier broke away, they just looked dangerous. And then the other game I watched was Liège, where the pitch was, oh my god, Belgian football and pitches, oh my Jesus.
Yeah,
pitch was,
I've seen a few of the pictures on Twitter.
It was like a ploughed field. It was awful. But they were the games that I watched. Other than Watford, obviously being a Watford fan, they were the games that I watched over the weekend. Tried to catch a bit of Doku and a bit of Bodart, but I wish I hadn't watched the Bodart one, to be honest, with a big score of 16.
Yeah, that is a sore one for sure. I was kind of saying when you popped out there that Atalanta and Real Madrid is probably like the banana skin peel game of the game week. I think also we've got Real Madrid cards in abundance, especially compared to Atalanta. There's only a couple of cards floating about for their players. But Atalanta in the Champions League, especially at home, and I'm not sure if this is. I don't think this is at a neutral venue. I'm pretty sure this is, and it's probably going to be in the San Siro because they can't play in there. Or maybe I think they can actually play in Bergamo now because they don't need to worry about all the corporate facilities and everything because of COVID. Yeah. So this might actually be more advantageous to Atalanta. If that is the case, I'm quite sure it is. Somebody can fact check me if they want, but I'm quite happy to put my name on it that is what's happening. There it's there.
They're just a good Bergamo. Side. They're just a very, very good side.
That's it. So that could be one to avoid potentially if you're quite Real Madrid heavy, or maybe you've got a lot of Real Madrid cards and you think I'm trying to talk you into a bust. Yeah, you can decide. Eredivisie, we've only got 2 matches. So Willem 2 in Den Haag and then Groningen in Feyenoord. Any feelings about these matches, Fox?
Who was the first one? So I had Groningen and Feyenoord.
Willem 2 and Den Haag.
I don't really know much about the Willem side and Den Haag side. No. Not overly familiar with those two guys. No. But Feyenoord are an interesting side. But Berghuis, being an ex-Watford player who didn't really get a chance, obviously one of the probably most valuable players from the Eredivisie in value-wise from SoRare. He's a really high SoRare scorer.
Yep.
I wouldn't actually say he's a fantastic player either. He's very, very, very good. But everything kind of goes through him in that Feyenoord from kind of like an outside forward.
Aye.
Exciting player to watch, but it's only really player I know from Feyenoord at this moment.
It's kind of like Dirk Kuyt in a weird way, isn't it? 'Cause Dirk Kuyt was like, he was a good Premier League player and everything like that, but he didn't really have big numbers. But in Holland, he was like highly prolific, and it was with Feyenoord as well. I don't know if I'm just drawing those comparisons.
I think you said it to me the other day actually, that most players that would struggle in the upper ends of Europe tend to do very well in the Dutch league, but the Dutch league that's not a slight on the Dutch league, because the Dutch league produces a massive amount of players that do very well in Europe.
Yeah.
But there's ones that do go out and don't quite do that well. Returning like Berghuis did, he didn't get into Watford though he wasn't really given a chance. He's gone back and done extremely well. Malin and so on.
Price is mental as well. Average price just under half a coin for a rare. Which, for a big hitting card, I think is it's very in line with what I've experienced, even when Beef was like much lower, So it's good. It's good when you because one fear I know that I've had, and everyone kind of shares when they're first kind of delving into like the top end of the market, like a Berghuis kind of card, is your main worry is you spend that money and then he turns in overnight. He just hits red scores every week, and then he gets a bad injury, and you've just done it. But
that's the fear. That's the fear.
But with these high-powered cards, like your Berghuis, your Vlasic, there's a lot of good examples roaming about the continent.
Vlasic scores unreal.
Yeah, when they play, it's just a formality at their level, that you find them at. Vlasic is
I don't looking at the Groningen side, other than the obvious legend in Arjen Robben, who definitely won't play because I've never known him not injured. They haven't really got anyone that I really know too well.
They've got I've got a guy I featured in a video recently called Jacob Larson. I'm pretty sure he is. He's decent. And then I think it might not be Groningen. I think it is Groningen. They've got a forward. I want to say he's like Czech or Slovenian or something like that. His name begins with an S. Somebody put a post on Twitter about him today, and I was looking at the super rare because it was going cheap. Maybe the super rare the guy on Twitter had. Can't remember, but he's okay. What's his name?
Just looking through them now so I can find him.
It might not be Groningen that guy plays for. I'm quite sure it is, but because when I seen the card initially, I thought, oh, that could be like a wee Luis Suarez because he came from there. It was a wee, or maybe Groningen.
Thomas Suslov.
Nah, that sounds like it. Suslav, yeah. Do they maybe have a Uruguayan guy as well?
He's got some decent little scores as well.
Yeah, Suslav, is it? Yeah, I seen that guy on Twitter, and somebody was posted about him today, or maybe the day before. Suslav, I've definitely spelled it wrong.
SUSLOV.
It's the wee, yeah. Oh, LOV, yeah, this wee guy. Where's he from? That doesn't tell me on this, does it? Just forward. Yeah, he's a good little guy. And I think Groningen, I think they've got a Uruguayan as well. Because when I seen that, I thought, oh, a Uruguayan at Groningen. Or maybe it was this guy just because he looks a bit cheeky like Suarez. I don't know if that's what it is. I judge some players on their appearances, by the way. Me and Fox were talking about this before we were coming on. And I've said this before to other people, but yeah. Sometimes the way somebody looks, it does influence me, and I'm not going to lie about it. You know, the Europa League is absolutely stacked. There's some teams of a lot of interest to us, of course, some less so. So top to bottom, Spurs, I don't think there's any really interest there from us. I don't think Carlos Vinicius is going to play, or maybe he will, who knows. Ajax against Lille again. The first leg, Ajax won 2-1, if memory serves me correct. So that tie is still wide open. Shakhtar won comfortably at home at Tel Aviv. I think it's going to be another good night for Shakhtar. Napoli get beat 2-0 off Granada, I'm pretty sure. That's right, isn't it? So they've got it all to do in the second leg. So if they're going to qualify, it needs to be something like 3-0 at least, or 2-0 and take it to extra time. Hoffenheim, I've got Chris Richards, I'm buzzing for that. Salzburg, Brendan Aronson, not as buzzing about that. There's some Rangers cards kicking about, so if you've got any of them, well done to you. I'm not too happy about them. Antwerp, I hope they do the business. I don't think they will. Benfica, I watched the first Benfica game. Did you watch that, Fox, yourself? I know it was on BT Sport.
I didn't catch that one. No. I keep an eye on Portuguese football, though. I'm a big fan of Portuguese football. I like some very, very good players in Portugal.
Yeah. What Europa League game did you catch last week?
Very comparable division to their Eredivisie, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, would you say so? I've not watched any Portuguese football outside of, like, the odd, like, maybe 20 minutes of a match here and there, really. I watch them often in Europe if they're, they're normally playing a decent team, most of them, but I've not seen much actual Portuguese league football, I must admit. But what Europa League match did you catch last week, Fox?
I didn't catch any, actually, last week.
I did you not? Oh, well, fair play.
This week, though,
easily done.
I've got a bit of a man crush on SMS Savic, so I'll probably watch Napoli and Granada, because I find Granada a really interesting thing, as Watford being former owners of Granada as well.
Oh yeah.
How obviously there was a big uproar. They were like the third choice club out of Watford, Udinese, and then Granada. So Pozzo's handed the club over, moved it on, left it in a financially good situation. They originally then got relegated and didn't do very well to begin with. And now they seem to be on some sort of high, and they're just flying.
Yeah.
They've picked up so much since the Pozzos have left behind them after the initial decline back to the second division of Spain. There's an very interesting side, but I say I'm a big fan of SMS, so whenever I catch SMS, I try and watch games on him. Fairly early kickoff as well, isn't it, actually? So that'll work out quite well. I didn't catch any of them last week, though.
Fox, would you agree with this? Mike Basson has put a comment out. Portugal play like Holland on pitches like Belgium.
Not yet, not wrong at all. Literally not wrong at all. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. The thing with the Portuguese division is it financially pays it'll pay like what the conference plays in England. It's so bad. So to make anything in Portugal, you've got to literally be Sporting, Benfica, or Porto in Europe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get nothing. But no, there's a great comparison. The pitches, some of them, the lower league teams anyway, they look like farmers' fields.
Aye.
But the football, the players that come out of there's some fantastic talents.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I was going to tell a stupid story. I'm not going to bother, to be honest with you. It's just boring. But no, fair enough, man. But Granada, I'm pretty sure they've got some sort of loose tie to Man City, maybe because I'm pretty sure they get some loans off of City, or they have anyway, over the last couple of years.
Definitely a club in the past, even with Watford, they were very reliant on loans.
Yeah.
Very reliant on loans.
So I wonder if anything would be made permanent or whatnot. One of the shocks of last week was the Leverkusen Young Boys game. I'm pretty sure that it finished 3-3, if memory. I'll double check that because that's quite an important game for a lot of SoRare users. If you've got a Leverkusen card, you'll probably got better memory than I do, and you'll remember the score from last week. But I'll try and pull it up anyway, just to make sure.
It was 4-3 to Young Boys.
4-3 was it? Yeah, okay, but yeah, horrible fixture for them. Horrible result. 3 away goals. They are still very much in the driving seat. How likely are Young Boys to equal that? Be a brave man to bet on it. So you think the tie's still there for Leverkusen to win. PSV are uphill against Olympiacos. I think they lost 4-2. So again, they've got the 2 away goals. They have a little bit of control over the tie, but not too much, because if Olympiacos can score 4 with the guys like Valbuena pulling the strings in Greece, I'm quite confident they'll be able to get at least 1 goal in Holland, and especially if you look at PSV's form over the last couple of games, clean sheets have not been aplenty. Krasnodar, another interesting one for SoRare users, away at Dinamo Zagreb. I'm pretty sure that game, the first leg, I'm pretty sure Krasnodar wasn't a favourable result anyway. They didn't do too good. Krasnodar, they lost 3-2 at home.
3-2, yeah.
Horrible. So they're uphill from there. And
by the way, just looking at the stats here, though, a game. It's so weird when football works this way. A game, possession-wise, absolutely dominated by Krasnodar. Yeah, all the chances, by the looks of it, predominantly falling to Zagreb.
Good fortune on the night then, perhaps. But the 3 away goals, it really does put Zagreb in. They could just put 11 men behind the ball, and just everyone take a yellow card, sub the yellow cards out, put fresh guys in. They could just do that all night.
Out the bus.
Yeah. So, and Krasnodar aren't the most inventive team. I've not watched too much of them. I watched some Spartak Moscow recently because of.
I'm pretty sure they've lost one of their more creative midfielders as well.
Yeah, but they're definitely not a flamboyant team. Even if you look at when they do well, it is like like 1-0s, 2-1s, that kind of thing. They're never a team that really goes in 1-0, 3, 1-1, 2-0. Nothing too amazing from them. So it might be a bad night for SoRare Krasnodar fans.
I was looking in the kind of the Russia area really the other day, because I do own a few cars that I brought a while back.
Nice.
And there was one guy that caught my eye in the Krasnodar team, Brazilian centre midfielder who I cannot now see.
Wanderlisten or something, is it?
Yeah, I think it was, and I'm pretty sure he took a knock over. Yeah, was it Wanderson?
Yeah, Wanderson.
Yeah, it's Wanderson. Yeah, he got a Brazilian tinge. Apparently he's Belgian. He's Belgian, but he's been scoring well. He did play on the 18th of Feb, but I'm sure he took a knock.
I think I remember this guy from the IPO. I think he does look good, by the way. Yeah. Aye. 100. If they've got 100, that normally ingrains himself in my memory.
He scores quite well.
All-round score of 30, so he's all about the goal contribution in that match. Same with that one. Yeah, he needs to be involved in goals. His all-round score's quite low if you have had...
Yeah, it might not have been him. It might be someone else that's similar, but...
Decisive.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay. Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, I quite like him. And guys with cool names as well, they're always more valuable anyway. We all know that.
That's why I brought that Bogdan from Mandalay. I'm not even going to read his second name. Not a chance.
Girona are like part of City Football Group, I think, rather than like because just I had a comment come in there, but I think Granada have like something as well, because City as well, like see with that City Football Group, like they own a bit of Yokohama, but they also have something with a team in China, so they have worked out some method of being in the same what's the word, confederate, more, because that's part of the thing with Salzburg and Leipzig, the problem they had when they first both got in the Champions League and all the rest of it. So I think they've managed to get ties with quite a few people. And have we got something else? Shapi, I'm a big fan of Shapi Suleimanov. I sold mine, I think about January time, because I've just got a bit itchy and wanted some ETH for some other purchases that you'll have seen me done. Have you seen Shapi Suleimanov yourself, Fox?
I haven't, no. I've heard of the name though.
Good wee guy, good at free kicks. He scored a free kick in the Champions League. I want to say against Chelsea. I might have just made that up, but he has scored a free kick in the Champions League group stages this year. Shapi Suleimanov, good wee guy. I think he's like 20 years old or so, and he's a youth pro. He's a academy graduate of Krasnodar. Roma in shit hot form now. They're at home at Braga. I think they've pretty much won that tie as well. Roma last week away, which I thought was going to be a really tough game. Yeah, they won 2-0. Braga got a man off. I think Roma are going to Italian the hell out of this and see it through comfortably into the next round. And then I think that, we've got Bruges versus Dynamo Kiev is the last game. This was actually on last Thursday. This was actually the very first game. It kicked off at like 3 o'clock or something because it's in the Ukraine. And it's going to be the very last match on this one. It was a 1-1 draw. So that's right up in the air. That could go anyway. No team is in control of that tie, especially if Kiev get a goal. We've got Neiman Lorient, doesn't mean anything to anyone. Barca Elche, and then some Serie A Brazil. Nothing. Sorted. So there's not many fixtures there, but a lot of cards are going to be in action. And there's a lot of opportunities. I was a wee bit surprised. I know it'll be because of the amount of cards that would be available to be deployed in the tournaments. I was a wee bit surprised there wasn't another 23 set up this week. That caught me off guard. Not upset about it or whatever, but yeah. The special weekly is top 5 managers get a Real Madrid jersey signed by the... No, it's just a jersey. I thought it was maybe signed. So 5 jerseys for the top 5. Are you going in the special weekly this week, Fox?
I'm still only rocking with one goalkeeper at the moment because Coinbase is injured still, so I've only got Bodart. So I'll throw something in there, just make sure one of the players play, but there'll be no challenge from me from there, to be honest. I'm just waiting on my next keeper purchase. I just need to make sure I get the right one. Should have got into Keller. I knew as well. I saw you do it. As soon as the Anana got announced as banned, I looked for Stekelenborg like an hour later, and they'd all gone. I was like,
mate. See the best.
Should have done that earlier.
See the best thing about that is I bought that Stekelenborg 3 days before that.
You got inside intel
on an auction where no one was looking at him. I just thought, because see what's happened is I read an article. I think it might have been in the Athletic or something, and it was saying, who was it? A team, Dortmund, that's who it was. Dortmund were going to sign either Onana or Odysseus Vlachodimos, the Benfica guy. And I thought, brilliant. Well, I'll just go and buy both the number 2s for Benfica and Ajax. That's what I'll do. And then if one of them transfers, jackpot. So I got Miles Villar, the wee Belgian boy.
Yeah.
And then I got Stekelenborg. The mistake I made is I really should have got Helton Leite because he's been playing the last couple of games when Vlachodimos has been injured. He was the real number 2. I went for the wee exciting young guy who's playing in the B team. So I didn't quite execute that totally perfectly. But getting a Stekelenborg, I think it was like 17 quid I paid, mate. Honestly, it was...
it was mad. I did see it. I picked up Neil when he came out originally for like £17.
Nice.
So yeah, he's got a big future though, to be fair. I think he probably do a move very soon because he needs to start playing.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Games.
I've managed to put out a kind of respectable special weekly team. I've put Oblak in, right, and you'll see why. Oblak is. This is the first game week ever. He's not going in my definite best team because of everything we were kind of speaking about Atletico Madrid a couple of minutes ago. I'm just not in a position to take gambles this game week. I'm going for what I know is hot in form. Gabriel, I don't want him to play well against Darwin Núñez, but I know he's going to start, and that means a lot. Grimaldo will probably start. Brendan Aronson should probably start. Joe David is hot and cold, like a bad tap. So yeah, I've got a wee kind of roll of the dice team out for D4. Is it D4 only you're going in this week, Fox, for your one keeper?
Yeah, it would be, but I don't think Bodart hasn't even got a game. I don't think so. I don't think I've even got an active keeper. So I could try and maybe try and find 4 midweek scorers. So I think I might do well.
Yeah, I know. Definitely achievable. So
try to sneak something at the bottom.
That's it. As long as you get the ETH return, that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's what. To be honest, that's what I've been playing on for probably the last couple of months.
Yeah.
I've not really had. Like I said earlier before you put the stream on, I've had 5 players score well every single week. I've just not got them in the right team. That's the hard part. The getting players is the easy part. Picking them in the right team is the hard part. So yeah, I'm just trying to get that right, really. But I think I've probably picked up. I can't tell you exactly how much in value, but it's definitely near probably 120 or so over the last couple of months. I've just picked away.
Nice.
Which is annoying because I'm not hitting a reward, like a decent reward, but. You know, as I said, my wallet now is looking pretty healthy, and I'm getting ever closer to that bigger striker and that better goalkeeper.
Nice.
Or that second goalkeeper. Though Coinbase is due back, I think, in just over a month anyway, and he'll be back into that starting lineup damn soon, I would have thought.
Well, I don't think he's going to be, to be honest, but you never know.
We can hope. We can hope.
Wellenreuther, who I'm a big fan of because I hold, of course, he's not really keeping that many clean sheets, but when he does keep a clean sheet, he's one of these goalkeepers that gets like 70 or 75 or something like that, you know. So I think that
goalkeepers are so rare, are a killer. I look back now when I did start doing this like 6 months ago, and where I didn't take goalkeepers, and with a lot of regret.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so that's the one. I did very well on the outfield players, but I wish I'd taken more goalkeepers.
I think
I've got a lot that don't play, but they're not used to it.
100%. Well, I think like I managed to pick up, like, funnily enough, the goalkeeper I'm using in this D4, like Trubin. I picked him up before he kind of like got into the Shakhtar team, but the only reason I bought him was because he was a 17-year-old goalkeeper. You know what I mean? Like, the guy at some point in his career is going to end up somewhere that Opta scores football. You know what I mean? Being 17 goalkeepers, the guy could play till he's 40. So there's a boy at CSKA Moscow. What's his name? Is it Tropov or something, or Torop? Or
yeah, I know him.
He's got a card from when he was 15 as well. You know, so cards like that I think are always like a decent little buy, even if it's just for training squads and whatever. And if you do hit the jackpot and the guy gets in the fucking team, then you're laughing. He's been really good in Europe, and I actually think he's one of our strongest goalkeepers going out this week. I actually think he's my second strongest goalkeeper going out this week. That's why he's in this D4 team. Chris Richards, by the way, I'm biased, Fox, because I've got the 1 of 100 and I'm in love with the guy, right? But he's been at Hoffenheim. You can see his scores there. He's had 3 starts, 51, 54, 58. I had it on the telly, and I was kind of kicking about the house, sit down for 10 minutes, get up, turn the microwave off, turn the oven on, blah, 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 whatever. And he looked good. He looked really, really good. I'm a big fan of Hoffenheim in general over the last couple of years. I'm a big fan of Nagelsmann as well, which, that kind of goes hand in hand. And the way Hoffenheim play football and the kind of way that I've seen this kid play in the last match, and based on the scores he had prior to that, I think he, number one, this game week will have a really big score, but he's somebody that if you can pick up on the cheap, I would definitely recommend it. How he is on loan, so he is liable to be dropped. They're not going to, what concerned to Hoffenheim do over how often he plays. They'll have an agreement probably and whatever, but liable to be dropped. And, if it goes back to Bayern, who knows what can happen. But anyway, point being, nice centre forward. I'm making him captain this game week. I think he's going to score. The only reason I've done that is because the game I was talking about, he had a good chance from a free kick, and he did the header well, but he just totally misjudged his. It was just off. He rose well, connected properly, but it just wasn't dead on. So anyway, Chris Richards captain this week. Could be madness, could be genius. Denzel Dumfries, the PSV game we were talking about. PSV need to go for it. This guy's normally captain for them. Dead out right back, so if he's attacking, hopefully he'll score high no matter what the result. Zielinski, Mr. Dependable, will start, could score 26, could score 65, will probably score 46. He's one of those kind of guys, isn't he?
They're the best players though. They're like little time bombs.
Yeah, could be anything. And then Sané, again, I watched Bayern Munich. But was it Friday they played? And I thought Sané was brilliant. I thought he was really, really good. Scored a 92, got me off to a great start to the week. And I'm almost certain that Bayern will continue with him in the starting team. And if he replicates that form, then I think he'll turn Lazio a new one. And I think he could be on a great score as well. So I'm actually really happy with that D4. I'm not concerned about ETH. I think I'm going to get bagging that with these 5 guys. I don't think it's possible not to watch that. Just jinx myself to fuck. But I think that's really solid and stable and really strong. I'm quite chuffed with that. My D3 is my biggest lineup. I know I think you've maybe caught one or two of the streams over the last couple of months or whatever. But for me, D3 is where I see myself as, the way I'm kind of building my Gallery Acid division to attack. And I always get excited when I can get super rares in play as well. That I've spent money on, and I've spent a bit of time scouting and negotiating and all the rest of it as well. So I'm back in Roma. I'm putting Paul Lopez back in. I'm putting Mancini back in. Renato Sanchez, I've recently got him. His scores are low. He's had low minutes. And the 13, he gave away a penalty that wasn't a penalty. Blah, blah, blah. I'm hoping he has a good game this week and gets his season back up and running. Works at home to young boys. Will start. Will play well. It's just a matter of goal contributions. And then Darwin, it's a bit of a gamble against Arsenal. But he might score another 42, but he could run the show and go score 75, 80, something like that. But as good a D3 as I'm going to get out there, I think. Really excited looking team. But it's Renato Sanchez and Darwin is kind of what it hinges on, really, as the super rares hitting.
Bright future, Darwin, definitely. He'll for me, probably Give it a year, maybe 2 years. You'll find him back in main Europe. Probably maybe something like an Inter. That kind of like Lautaro Martinez kind of pathway.
Yeah. I think he's really good. Like I watched him a couple of times before buying him, so I was kind of like scouting out, you know, so I knew. Again, we were kind of chatting about this before coming on, and the guys in the stream will have heard it before. But oh Jesus, what was I just saying? I read a comment that pure put me off on Nunes. See, the thing I really liked about him is like, see if you look at his who scored, right? That's what it was that kind of drawn me to him before I started going to watch them. If you look at his who scored, I actually put a lot of faith in their metric that tells you players' like strengths and weaknesses, what their their kind of playing style traits, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And his like positive ones, I read it. The first thing I thought was that guy should play for PSG, and then the second thing I thought was that's the kind of club he'll be linked with, so he's probably quite a safe bet. But it was good passing stats. It was good. It was good like kind of passing stuff and good like pressing stuff. And I just thought you put him in the middle of Neymar and Mbappe, and it could be gold. It's a little fantasy I made in my head. It's not based on anything in real life. But sometimes that's all you need is a bit of inspiration. That's all it takes. So let's see. Where's his little traits? I hear they're here. So strings, key passes, and long shots. Oh yeah, there we go. Darwin Núñez' style of play. It doesn't dive into tackles, likes to dribble, plays short passes. This has changed recently on his recent form, I think, because before it did say high press. It was like Liverpool. It said something that made me think about Liverpool. Like high press, presses often, or something. Offside awareness is weak and holding the ball is weak. So he's like fast and furious going with the ball. I really rate him a lot.
He's still young though, isn't he, really?
Yeah. I watched the Arsenal game and he took a shot and he tried to put all his welly into it and he fell on his bum, and I felt so bad for him because he had no chances made for him. You know, he was having to drop deep, do that kind of stuff we're talking, press it back forward, try and get on the end of a mistake or try and get up something. And then it was waiting on guys countering and going beyond him, and it just wasn't really happening in the first half. Second half, they made some changes. Benfica, they looked a little bit more dangerous, I think. But it was really set pieces. When Benfica were getting set pieces, Big Vertonghen and Otamendi are going up top, the two big bulldozers. And it's just about Pizzi dropping the ball on one of their heads. So that game's still open. We've ended up talking about that for some reason, but there you go. We've got a comment, which is what kind of knocked me off my wiggle and my stride a second ago. Hey, I wanted to get involved, but still a little bit confused with it. Going through your vids, appreciate the content. Thanks very much, Evan. If you have any questions in particular, there's a good bunch of people in the live chat with us. By the way, guys, only 60s have dropped a like. Help a brother out here. Drop another like for me. But there's plenty of people in here, so if you want to ask a question, I'll answer it. Fox will answer it. Someone in the live chat will grab it. Just drop it in there, mate, and we will be glad to help you out. Stacey Ellis is here too. Good evening. And we have... that's pretty much everything all caught up. Cool. Sweet. Sorted. So I just jumped onto the market page and there's 3 lovely strikers all sitting next to each other, Fox. So let me get your opinion on this, right? You've got a choice. Neymar, Boadu, or Noah Lang. Price aside, just for actual fantasy football, right? Who would you fancy having out of the 3 of them if you could have one of them? Forget about money and trading and all that. It doesn't exist. You just got to pick one of them for.
I'll be honest, right? Neymar was the first one, right?
Yeah.
I've never been a Neymar fan. I'll be honest. Not his character or anything like that. He's not for me. He's not my type of player. I do like Noah Lang though. Big fan of Noah Lang, and I spotted him a while back, and I wish I'd gambled on him when he first came round to the card cycle, but I didn't. And who was the middle one?
What? Myron Boadu.
Myron, that's who I'd swing to right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely who I'd swing to right now.
He's
growing. Where was he at originally? Where was he at before? Did he come through AZ?
I think he came through at AZ. I'm pretty sure he did anyway. I've looked at him before for Football Index purposes.
Yeah, he did.
So
talent. I mean, like I loved watching AZ last year. They got absolutely robbed of the title. They'd just beaten Ajax, haven't they, to take the lead, and then the league was finished basically. What, a few weeks later.
Oh yeah.
Him and Stengs. Obviously, I've always had a soft spot for Jordi Classy. Classy's not playing too much this season though.
No, he's injured, isn't he? I was looking at Classy had a super rare up this morning, and I thought, I'll look into that because I used to like Classy as well. I thought he was good at Feyenoord. Unlucky at Southampton.
Combative midfielder that breaks things up and gets really good defensive stats.
Yeah, I like him, but he's been out injured and his DNPs are all over the place. And I thought it is a good buy, but I'm not got the patience for an injured Jordi Classy right now. That's not really.
He's at that tail end of his career now where he might not return to a starter.
Yeah.
He's kind of coming on, helping the kids over the line type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but they're a young, exciting side. I think. Speaking of AZ, I missed out on in Windall recently, and that so annoyed with myself. I saw him for like 115.
Nice.
I didn't take it, and then like 3-4 days later, he's obviously back up to his usual price of like 160 or whatever. Should have taken it because he'll be scoring well for a long time. He's Holland's future left back.
I think so, yeah.
For a long time as well. So I think he's going to end up at somewhere. He's the key strikes me type of PSG type player as well. To be fair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just high attacking fullback who gets involved on both ends.
Nice. There's a wee cheeky super rare. I might go for that. There's a wee cheeky super rare on auction at the moment. 16 hours, so 8 hours would be 24. But midday tomorrow, I might go for that. We'll see. Oh, Hybee's already in on there. Hybee's already got his bid in. DG Banzai, a wee bit later this one.
He's got a lot of potential.
A lot of miles. A lot of under 23 fullbacks. Like Hakimi's my main one, obviously my big favourite. But guys like that, yeah, they excite me. I'm already following him. I think you've mentioned this guy to me before. That'll be why, because yeah, definitely was in fact. So,
what's he been going for recently? Because I'm so annoyed I didn't take him. I knew I should have at the time. So I thought that would be. I've already got Delit. That would be like a second team starting fullback or starting defender.
Do you know
who will score regularly?
See, in light of you've probably noticed all the Mbappe, you definitely have noticed the mad market movements we've had over the last couple of days. Do you know? I got to thinking I would be actually probably quite happy to try and get a Van Dijk at the moment. Obviously, he's out injured; he's not going to be playing probably the rest of the season or whatever. But he's a guy that mass appeal, collectors, all that kind of stuff. Like a defender that's on Mbappe's level is Van Dijk in terms of that kind of side of things. Yeah. So I might try. How much is he up for now? Oh, he's still not going any cheap. 0.588 is best offer on the market at the moment. But if I could get him cheap or win him, if I could win him, I'd be buzzing. That's probably the ideal scenario.
I guess he's one of those, isn't he? Really, regardless of him being injured or not, he's going to somewhat hold his value, isn't he? Even if he's long term injured.
Yes, he's top tier.
He is that good.
Yeah.
And as a centre back as well, I feel like centre backs that you have good ones with the young age. I feel like when they're coming into their 29s, 31s, that's when you get the prime centre back. Put on his game. And I think he's got his best years still to come, really.
If you look at his SoRare data, the game week only goes back to 77, and then he got his injury, so he's not got too much of a sample size. But he does have 100 up there. He definitely have scored that game week, I would imagine. No clean sheet, so he must have.
Threat, isn't he? There's threats from everywhere.
Yeah, but this guy could easily. Sergio Ramos has got crazy numbers, and I don't think it's a stretch beyond imagination to believe. And Liverpool in form of Van Dijk fit is going to be one of the best defenders in the game, probably. So I might try and keep my eyes peeled on him a bit keener. I'm a big Van Dijk fan, being a Celtic man, of course, as well. So it's a kind
of. I just looked at Sergio Ramos' scores.
How sick are they? Have you never seen them before?
He's got one. He's got two below 50, and one of them's 49. He's got one red in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 24 appearances. He's got one red.
It's mental, isn't it?
He's obviously not playing right now. Why is he not playing? Has he been injured or something?
Probably suspended for life.
Probably, yeah. He's not played for like 6 game weeks, but
when he plays,
that is some scoring.
When he plays, eh? But and how old is he? He's 34, 35. So you can get him quite cheap, if you want to keep him for those game weeks where he's going to play when he's back fit. Probably goes to America, would you think?
Yeah, definitely. Beckham.
Yeah, he's definitely of that cut, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll go.
Imagine he went to Orlando.
Yeah, what team would he? I don't know what value he'd go for. Where?
I said Orlando, Miami, Beckham's team. Imagine saying for Beckham, that'd be cool, eh?
Yeah, I said Beckham. That's what I said. Beckham.
Yeah.
He's got the Beckham link, hasn't he? Really? So
that'd be cool. We're making a rumor. We're making a rumor. It's happening.
The fact that he is only selling right now, buy now for £400 as well. Wow. I feel like if he goes to the MLS as well and plays another 2-3 years out there, wow.
Yeah, he could be a hero. Could be a hero.
He's, let's be honest, right? I don't think his injury history is bad either.
No, I don't think it's terrible. I do think he had a big injury at one point because he was right back for Real Madrid for ages. And I know, yeah, he's a great centre back and all the rest of it. But I think he did have an injury and it took a bit of his pace away. And then that's when they moved it. I think
if he's scoring like that,
I might have made that up
in the Spanish division and moved to America. Oh,
it'd be crazy.
Unbelievable.
You see about the MLS as well. I got a lot of questions around about MLS. Right, actually, sorry, I'm going to pause there. Right, before we talk about MLS, right, I had a comment reminding me about this, right, but we've got the new game week windows that have just been announced, Fox. I don't know if you've seen this.
I didn't read it, but I did see the notice.
So there is a few consequences to this, right? That you probably some people will have cottoned onto already. The first one is you're not going to be able to use your rewards as quickly in a game week as you currently are at the moment. You're definitely going to need to do your team week selections as early as possible because it will just be like one game week closes, other one opens. There's not going to be that buffer, that overhang. So you will definitely need to make sure that you're not waiting for that email to come in that says the results are in. You can't wait for that anymore. So just make sure you've always got your teams in. And there was a third thing, I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, you don't ever really need to worry about the whole what time is my kickoff, what day of the week is that, when's the cut-off time, etc., etc. There's just that what it means now is we are always in a game week. There is no buffer, there is no off time. You are always in a game week. There's always something on, unless there's no football, obviously. So yeah. Did they mean anything to you? Did they impact you at all? What was your thoughts?
I work from the PC, to be honest, and I work for myself, so I can cut any time out of the day that I want to sort it out. Yeah. And I tend to have tabs open, and it's open somewhere anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I like the idea of they removing that and just being one kind of ongoing cycle. I don't know. You as someone who scores rewards more regularly, what do you feel about say not being able to use those rewards straight away?
It's been very rare where it's actually quite funny because I'm pretty sure my Wirtz and my Joe David, they were probably two of my favourite rewards. I think winning both of them, I wasn't able to use them both immediately anyway because of like fixture perhaps or a suspension or something, perhaps rotation. Can't remember. Yeah. So it's something, I don't actually think it's the end of the world. I think some people were maybe a wee bit like, oh, maybe if you're a new user, you'll want to use it straight away, and that's one game week you could have made a better score on or whatever. But I think the pros far outweigh the cons, and I don't think it's really anything that once it's the new norm, people will clamour for something different. I think it'll be easily accepted and adopted.
Yeah, like they only seem to. From my experience of SoRare, which is only about 6 months long, they never really seem to make a bad decision like some other footballing companies, whether it be games or fantasy type games, do make. And even if they do make us one that doesn't quite work out, they're pretty quick to hold their hands up and adapt. Yeah.
No, totally, they've been great with that. Mikey's also brought up another point, which is, it sounds like something that would have been discussed on Discord, so I'm sorry I've missed it. But most difficult is because of team news and stuff like that. So Friday afternoon is when you get like, oh, this guy's injured or this guy's not in the match day squad, that kind of thing. So obviously with the deadline being 5 o'clock and it now being 1 o'clock UTC, Universal Central Time, you've not got that luxury of waiting for the odd squad that will announce, oh, this is the 25 or this is the 18 or, whatever. You're kind of needing to take that little bit of leap of faith or hope these clubs start announcing stuff a bit earlier for our sake and for our benefit. So yeah, that's a bit of a downside. I've not really managed to capitalise on that as much as probably other people have, or I probably should have. But that's a very good point, Mike. Well done. Mike's also said Wijndal is just like Meunier. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, very similar. Because am I right thinking Meunier can play really high forward as well?
Yeah.
Like he plays like
Mike knows his onions.
Almost like a very deep, like kind of inverted forward type thing.
Nice, that's good to hear.
The modern full, a classic modern fullback.
I really like Meunier. Part of the reason I really like Meunier is because he's really tall. And it's part of the reason
he's like, is it Castang is the other one, the Leicester guy who's obscenely tall for a fullback that's really fast as well.
It's part of the reason I think that Alonso, the Chelsea left back, he's quite tall. He's not a giant or anything, but he's quite a big left back.
So 6'1", I think he is.
Yeah, he's quite big. I think that's part of the reason he's good as well. Again, I judge some players on some abstract things, and that is varying in success as I go on in life. But the odd one that comes off, I'm always quite happy about. Paul has hit us with something. This will create amazing talking points. Just falling short of rewards and working out how you would have done it if you knew your player had been eligible. You've lost me a bit, Paul. I might need to read that again. Working out how you would have done it if you knew your player had been eligible. Oh, are you talking about maybe? I don't know if that's just a question for me, Paul. If it's just, I don't know if you're talking about my Snodgrass. I'm not sure. Paul, you might need to say that again, Paul, because I'm not too sure what you mean. But yeah, so this game week. Now, I don't know if anyone else's experience is the first time trying on the computer, so it might just be a problem with the phone thing. Yeah, this is like the third game week in a row where I've tried to look at it anyway, and it might be my cookie. Tell me if I need to clear something, guys. But I've not had access to the reward pool, which I don't. It's not an issue, but when I have been doing well. And I can only speak for previous experience because Mark McBride, friend of the channel, I should say, I beg your pardon, is doing really well this game week. And Mark, if you're in the crowd, if you're in the audience, please let us know how you finished because you were riding high, first place in under 23 D4. And I know from when I was in that position, what spent probably about 95% of my waking thoughts was me going through the prize pool and working out who could I win, It might be Mbappe, it could be Vlasic, it could be this guy, it could be that guy. And not having that, I think definitely if you're going for podium, and it's definitely the first couple of times you've done it, I've only done it a couple of times, but that is so much of the fun. And I hope it's not missing for any longer than it needs to be, because that's a kick in the teeth. Because you just get the buzz.
One of my referral signups this week is currently second in the training league.
Oh, fantastic!
He did his referral. End of last week and got in, and he had basically a mixed. I think it was a mixed Inter Real Madrid team. I could be wrong though.
Nice.
But whatever he's got, I think he's had 4 of the 5 players have scored over 75.
Wow, brilliant!
It was Roma's keeper actually.
Pedro Lopez.
Yeah. Whatever those guys scored, he's done really, really, really well.
Lovely.
From being really skeptical, being like, I'm sold, because obviously he's done well for the game.
It's one of these.
Trust me, it's a big come down.
Yeah, it's one of these things for me, right? That anyone who I ever talked to on it about SoRare, see for me, it is genuinely whenever I fell in love with like Football Manager or Championship Manager or LMA Manager or whatever it might have been at the time. I always just thought, imagine you could play this with everyone. That's the whole global aspect where you can buy a player from literally anywhere and watch them turn into something valuable, or even they stay where they are and they become better and they become more valuable to you. For me, that is the absolute ultimate in terms of football knowledge satisfaction. It looks like McBride Ace, Marky Boy, he's finished top spot. He's pulled it off with a nice buffer. He's finished on 368 points. The second place is 339. So fair play to you, Mark. Great going. Do I hear his team? Alban.
He's won the global for under 23s.
Under 23 D4, number 1 spot.
Yeah, I recognise the name when he said his name.
Alban Lafont, Edwin Tapsoba, Lakonga, Anderlecht, Guiri, who he's in love with, by the way. He's got a real man crush on Guiri. And Boadu, would you believe it? Myron Boadu.
No, I thought you were going to say that. Because I looked at that guy's team the other day when he was top.
Oh,
he was top.
What
his
a team.
Team was in quite quick, actually, I think. His players all played really early.
Yep, I think you're right.
So I think I'd seen him on Twitter as well saying hopefully he hangs on.
Aye, he's done it. It looks like he's done it anyway. Barney, you always get a nice buffer there. I think he can sleep easy. I think the guy is in second, but he's in 339, Fox, right? The guy in third is in 336. There's less than 3 points between them. One Opta change of a pass or a yellow card or something. And those places could swap quite easily. And you could be waking up second with a nice big bit of ETH, and or you could wake up third and it's just a little bit of ETH you get for the podium spot. So he'll be going to bed counting his chickens. But aye, magic. I'm going to have an early glance over the market.
There's one talking point on the market here. Go to I don't know if this is my computer or what, but go to a transfer market and then put in highest price. Is there a card without a face on it?
Yes, it is. I was going to buy it.
Javier Pinola. I just looked at it and was like, what?
Yeah, it was like at 4 a.m. or something our time, maybe. So I was like, I messaged it in a group chat I'm in, and I was like, listen, I might go for this, by the way. This is mental. And then I thought, nah, I'm just being stupid. I know somebody will buy it for a decent price, and I know it'll be what it is. But yeah.
I guess it's like an error card, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. What did they actually pay for it? That's amazing. See if somebody.
£63.
I'll be sick if somebody pays that for it. Yeah, 63. I wouldn't pay that for it.
84,000.
See, a 37-year-old defender, it wasn't worth the punt for me, to be quite honest. But
it's quirky to keep, but yeah, I don't think
you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised.
To be honest.
But yeah, it's all Diego Maradona's and Mbappe's up the top here. Unique Thomas Miller's up for sale. As far as uniques go, I think that looks like a good price, by the way. Miller's a baller. If you've got Fed Eve to spare, that could be a decent purchase for you.
What's his average scores, by the way?
Bruno Fernandes, super rare, 100 Eve.
Nice player he is.
I'm quite interested in Lukaku, by the way. I've been interested in him since Inter came on the platform. But I think I've maybe left it too long. His form has picked up big time. He's making all the headlines. And he did go through a wee period. You can check his SoRare data. I'm pretty sure this will back it up. But he did go through a wee period where he wasn't as expensive. Obviously, his prices are all on steroids at the moment because of the whole Gary Vaynerchuk kind of effect on the market we've got at the moment. But he was going, yeah, look at that. It's a month ago, 2 months ago, quarter of a coin for a Lukaku. You know, that is a mental price, but he wasn't that hot in form. I think Inter had just been dumped out of the Champions League at that point as well. And Europe, they've not got European football. They'd definitely, like 2 months ago, they'd definitely been around that time. They've been knocked out of Europe entirely. That would have been a great buy if you spotted that exact auction. But yeah, his form's back on. I think the guy's a baller, you know. England is so underrated in terms of, like, for what he did, you know, at Man United. Wasn't that great at Man United, fair enough, but
I think wherever Lukaku goes, at some point he has a rich vein of form.
Yeah.
As every striker does, he'll have those 3-4 weeks, maybe 6-7 weeks where it isn't quite hit off for him. But even then, he'll still put things up because with the way that Opta works, you know, he collects things like key balls forward and touches and passes and so on. And he's not a runner. He's not going to run. He's not going to break a line. He's going to be involved in some form of builder.
Yeah.
So he's always going to pick up like a low 40 maybe. I don't know what the scores have been. So I don't think, though he might not score you high every time, he's going to be like, I don't know, maybe if he's the guy that comes in the low ranking on the Opta data. So yeah, the 37s and the 46s, I think those are going to be pretty consistent. He can have an off week as long as you've got 2 or 3 other players having a good week.
Yeah. I think there's a life lesson in there for the next season. If someone gets knocked out of Champions League group stages and they are a world-class player, keep an eye on them if it is just like, because he is world class. I don't think there's any disputing that at this point.
Yeah.
His scores are tidy. A lot of greens when he's getting.
So looking at that now, yeah. To be honest, it's a lot better than I thought it would be actually.
Yeah. A couple of reds, but again,
61.
A couple of reds, but again, for a striker who will probably collect the odd yellow card because he is quite bullish, you know. Especially if you see all the stuff with him and Ibra and all the rest of it. He is liable for a bad pass or two. So the odd red I can live with for a striker, you know, because it's just, I think it's part and parcel with forwards. But there's not that many of them, which is great. And we've got 100 there, which I always love to see. And yeah, I actually quite like him. But again, the opportunity to buy him, I think, for me personally, is probably just passed me by. So some players, Fox, and you'll have seen this yourself, right? That are top end players, and you think, like, oh, I could buy him, or you know, he's not terrible to me, he's too expensive, all the rest of it. But something happens, you sat on your ETH for a little bit, the price of ETH has went up, or the guy he's suspended for a game, he gets a DNP on his last 5. That puts some people off because they don't look into it. And a wee opportunity opens up and you can get these players. But some of those players you just don't have. Like Tony Kroos is another one. Have you looked at Tony Kroos?
No, he's stopped playing, has he?
So
basically, what you described is pretty much a strategy I've been running with recently.
Oh yeah, nice.
In terms of looking at players who maybe are returning from injury, players that have just maybe picked up a niggle and haven't played for 3 or 4 games, yet if you look further back, have scored really well at the start of the season.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at him though. I'll have to check him out.
Look at his scores, right? So his price, right? He's always for initially he was always around a coin, right? And this was about a month ago or so. Whenever Eldred came on, he was always around a bit of coin, and then slowly but surely his price was coming down. He was at like 0.8. You were starting to get some 0.7s on the transfer market, and I thought, right, okay, if I can get this guy anywhere close to like an absolute, you know, I think he's coming down, then I'm all over it. He then shot 200s back to back. And then I see all the Gary Vaynerchuk stuff that's happened to the market. So every card he's got is now on for like 5 ETH and 6 ETH for the rares, because that's what Mbappe goes for. 4 ETH for this one, 3 ETH for that one. But again, I know at any point I could have just spent all the the money required to get the Tony Kroos, but it's not a player I'm going to spend that level of money on. I'm going to wait, try and get a bargain. I'm going to try and get at bottom end of the market price as best I can, because as much as like, you can build a gallery and all the rest of it. You've got to be sensible. You know, you can't, or me anyway. I've not got the ability to just open an account, go right, there's X amount of ETH and just go spend, and then don't worry about it. Number one, I want to be. I think that's a big part of the fun. I want to be tactical. I want to be calculating. I want to be considerate of what I'm doing and shape it a certain way.
I think there's something to be said in Cruz's style of play as well, and how Opta scores, and that you haven't got to be a physically imposing, quick cover of the ground and so on. And I think that's been my biggest learning with playing SoRare, is I'm so accustomed to playing likes of FM and where pace and physicality is a huge part of the game. Whereas in these Opta scoring, sometimes like we talked about Lukaku a minute ago, sometimes that physicality of a player can actually work against you in the way that Opta scores, because picking up yellow cards or fouls or needless fouls. Yeah. Like classic example, Danny Ings against Chelsea the other day for Southampton, tracked all the way back, but in the most ridiculous challenge that he didn't need to put in and give away a penalty.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Danny Ings isn't your physical type of character, but I think when you've got a striker who, or someone of that creed who is a little bit more, pacey and will do kind of the crazy things here and there, he'll lose himself scores. Where when you've got someone like Cruz, who notoriously isn't quick, but it's ball to feet, and he's kind of like a pivot point of a team going from defend to attack.
Yeah,
I think he says a lot about how I've been looking at midfielders in SoRare now, and I've been trying to not be reliant on guys I know that are affecting in terms of the physical side of the game, but are able to float between the lines and pick out that little outside of the ball round the back, or that little through ball through the middle that's going to create maybe the assist to then get the goal, or kind of the pass before the assist type thing. So I've been looking at midfielders completely differently to how I looked at them at the start when I started collecting midfielders.
Nice. Well, I think both sides. I think the kind of midfielders, I think all midfielders have a good score in them in this scoring matrix that we've got. Because I remember on the old scoring mechanism, I had the Schalke version of Weston McKennie, and I know he's a much better player this year than he was last, right? That's a given. But he didn't really score that great. He goes to Juve. He's the same type of player. He's doing the same things. He's just doing more of them and more successfully. And the scores have been mental good, So you get midfielders like that are just box to box, high energy, they can score you pretty well. I like Cruz a lot because of, like you say, like he's just an absolute pivot point. It's falling to feet, pass and move, connect the lines, all the rest of it. But I think with some of these midfielders like that score like Cruz, I think what you get from them that you won't get from like the Weston McKennies of the world and whoever else is that if they can take set pieces as well, then you've got like an increased chance of returning assists. If you're swinging in corners all the time, you've got Sergio Ramos and Karim Benzema knocking them in, then you're going to be racking up assists for that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've got take FPL for instance. You've got people like Thomas Souček this year.
Yeah,
Souček has just been like an FPL gold mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, those I've never really stuck at things like FPL or whatever. I've never really looked at midfielders in the way now that I look at them. Because there's definitely, like you said, set piece factor into it as well. And you can actually get a high scoring midfielder that is in a poor team that doesn't win that regularly. And he can still score really, really, really well. It's interesting. Not just good players are good scorers when it comes to the SoRare type of player.
Yeah.
You can have players in. That's what all the people that I have signed up through my affiliate link recently. I've been kind of saying that, do your research. You might find a name in the market at a fairly cheap price, and you might not know who they are, but do a little bit of digging, and you might find yourself a proper little diamond. I definitely know I did that when I originally signed up because I didn't want to spend big on any players because I didn't really know what I was doing. But what I've ended up with is a handfuls of players now, which seem to be coming to the forefront, who are really fairly talented in terms of their ability on the ball rather than maybe their physical impact in a game.
Well, you look at somebody like I can't remember if we were talking about this on stream or off stream. I think it was on stream. Have you seen Camavinga play before?
First time last night.
Yeah. Well, he's quite don't get me wrong. He can slide tackle. He's quite physical. He can win the ball in the air, that kind of thing. But he is a break. He's one of these midfielders that he looks to be the now anyway. could play any position very effectively. He's very quick. He can tackle, pass, run, shoot, cross, to a level. You know, he's got all them things in his locker. And I think that is quite. I think there's a generation of like super athletes kind of coming through now. Whereas, like, you know, obviously over the last like bunch of generations, the 80s, 90s, to early 2000s, and so on, like sports science and all that's been getting a lot better. And see, when I think about like Messi and Ronaldo, for me, that is like the embodiment of modern football. Is you get somebody like Ronaldo, who's all, and I know I'm not the first person to ever say this, but he's all sports science. You know, he eats right, does all this stuff in the gym, does all that stuff. Messi's just a guy who's just born to do this, and that's what he's always done. And I think you get two types of players like that in the world, and you're either the kind of Ronaldo type where you're like really super mega fit, you know, you could do marathons and all the rest of it, and you're a good football player, you know, you can run for 90 minutes and do all this stuff, or you're a kid like Messi who can just do anything they want with a ball, and they just need to get fit in order to play football, you know. So I think there's two kind of real firm camps now in professional football in that sense. There's obviously, you know, a lot of.
Well, this is a whole bigger subject, to be fair, because I worked in academy football up until about 6 years ago. I was involved with West Brom and Coventry, and as I left youth football, they just changed the way in England that they were doing academy football. It used to be age group, so your school years. Yeah. But the way they were doing it was called bio-banding. Yeah. Which was they were taking players of similar age but similar slight body builds, and they were playing them together, because in England for decades the good players weren't always the biggest players, but the biggest players always overpowered the good smaller players. But now we've got the likes of your Mason Mounts, these type of style of players that are coming through in abundance in England, especially because bio-banding has changed the way that academy football is producing its players. And all of a sudden these young technical players are coming through England. I don't think England have ever had a future this bright in terms of young talents coming through, and not just coming through in England, coming through in other countries. It's amazing. Which is even more mad, because the younger players are getting smarter to it, like the Jadon Sanchos and so on. They're getting smarter to the fact that I can't get into the first team in England, therefore I'm going to go somewhere where I can. And it's the whole football in general, especially from an English perspective, is really its growth is accelerated right now, because England finally on an FA academy level got something right about 6-7 years ago, and it's seeing it now with players that are coming through. They're not all like Peter Crouch. He was very talented, by the way. He was very, very talented, but they're not all these big robust people. You've got more Michael Owens coming through, the little technical types.
That's always the best thing for development.
England is changing dramatically.
Aye, no, I you know, it's good to hear that changes came in. I think a lot. I think that bio-banding stuff, and like you get like biological ages as well. Like, so, like you're saying, if you've got a kid who's 7 years old, but he's the same height, weight, and build as an 11-year-old, there's no point in him playing with 7-year-olds, because it's not good. It doesn't benefit anyone. It's just mental. So it's great. Well, if you're attributing some of the success to that, then that's a great move, and fair play to the guys that done that.
They did. As I left, they were doing it. I had a youth team who the best player for me was the smallest player in the team. He didn't impose himself physically on the game. He played centre midfield. He was a dot compared to the rest, but given the ball, his touch was fantastic, low centre of gravity, he had great agility, and he'd never miss a pass. Every pass he'd pick out, and it wouldn't be sideways passes, it would be passes like, where the has he found that? Literally pinpoints, like cutting defences open on a sixpence. It was crazy. But I say, as I left academy football, the FA, in credit to them, have started to change stuff with academy. Well, I think academies are taking inspiration from how Belgium have come along so quickly, because Belgium has spent a lot of time in changing its youth philosophies as well. England are always behind the curve, obviously. It's the way that England work, unfortunately. But they finally got something that's seen an abundance of young players coming through now.
Belgium have definitely done it well.
Raheem Sterling and so on.
Belgium have definitely done it well over the last few years, so not a bad place to copy.
They've literally come out of nowhere.
That actually brings us right back round to something Paul's dropped in. I picked this up. It was a Lukaku interview he done after a match recently, but he basically said he'll finish his career at Anderlecht, which, from a SoRare perspective, is music to card holders' ears, because between now and then, couldn't care less where he goes. You know that's his intention of where he's going to finish. probably quite like Vincent Kompany just done last season. You know, I don't think Lukaku will be going back to manage them, but you know, similar kind of.
Imagine that. A 1-2 of Company and Lukaku, you'd be scared shit.
Be a good combo, wouldn't it?
You would not want to fight. Oh,
you'd definitely be scoring a lot of corners. Heading practice for them too. 100%. So that's well caught again, Paul. That's a good one. And bear in mind if you've caught that, something for the future to think about. I think that is pretty much everything I would cover. Normally, let's just look at Tony Cruz one more time. His unique's up for 25 ETH basically, which in the current climate I don't think is a bad price at all, considering the guys just hit back-to-back hundreds. Will be going to the Euros with Germany. Will be playing first choice for Real Madrid until he's retired probably. Any super rares? No super rares up for sale, just rares, and they're all priced as if we're Bitcoin millionaires and all that stuff. So you need to get your lucky, pull this guy a win, or hope the people who selling this realise that they're not going to sell them for 6 ETH to me. So if they want to sell them to me, then they need to lower the price a bit. Magic. I'll probably put the last thing on the screen as my D3 team or something like that. Fox, is there anything you want to let people know where they can find you? Or any messages or anything?
Stuff. It's all Fox in the box. Yeah. Just football manager stuff, that's all I do. I'm a bit of a geek.
Football geeks are the best geeks, so that's good.
They are the best geeks, yeah.
Magic,
having me on there. It's good fun. It's good to chat about real life football rather than fake players running around a football pitch with dots and so on.
Welcome back anytime, mate. It's been my absolute pleasure. Thanks a lot for everyone that's joined us. I hope you have a smashing game week. If you've pulled rewards out of the game week we've just finished, well done to you. Can't wait to see them on Twitter tomorrow. Good luck for this coming game week. Hope you enjoy the Champions League, and I will see you on Thursday for the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.